think
my life's been about risk management for a long time. We work in opposite ends of this corporation, don't we? You guys sit on a sofa and you're cerebral. I'm an absolute rock ape that goes out and tries to hurt myself. And I've always done that.
Ever wonder what really caused Top Gear to come to a sudden stop? It was as if the popular show, known for mixing car thrills with entertainment, hit the brakes out of nowhere.
Right, forget supercars for just 1 minute. The producers have assembled the most important new cars released in the last 12 months.
Chris Harris, a giant figure from the series, revealed some behind-the-scenes insights that could change what we thought about it. So what did Chris Harris reveal that left us all on the edge of our seats? What kind of behind-the-scenes drama catalyzed the issue in the iconic Top Gear saga? Exposing the scandal. Ever meet someone who pulls no punches? That's exactly what Harris did. He laid everything bare, sharing his increasing worry over the safety measures on set. Those wild stunts that could be straight out of an action movie started feeling a bit too real.
Got it!
Harris didn't hold back when he pointed fingers at the BBC, making it clear that their negligence was at the heart of all this chaos. In a recent interview, he revealed shocking details about the events leading to this pivotal moment. He disclosed that he had warned the BBC months prior to the crash, involving fellow host Andrew "Freddie" Flintoff. What exactly happened between BBC and Harris? How did his warnings go unheeded until it was too late? Well, let me tell you about it. The catastrophe. In December 2022, a dramatic twist of fate during a shoot shook the very foundation of the show, leaving behind a storm of questions and disbelief, like a mystery everyone is trying to solve. Right at the heart of this cascade was Andrew "Freddie" Flintoff, who once reigned supreme in the cricket world and had found a new way to dazzle as co-presenter. There he was, nestled in the driver's seat of the infamous Morgan Super 3, a machine unlike any other with its mind-boggling three-wheel design. This vehicle isn't just a car, it's a conundrum wrapped in mystery that requires a master's touch. But on that ill-fated day at Dunsfold Aerodrome, Freddie and his enigmatic ride failed to make peace. The Super 3, in a sudden twist of betrayal, flipped over. As if that wasn't bad enough, the lack of a crash helmet cranked up the fear factor, shedding light on glaring gaps in safety measures. Standing apart from the chaos was Chris Harris, whose journalist's eye sharpened his automotive wisdom. As the scene unfolded with a kind of unreal terror, his instinctive reaction was tinged with professional worry and a deep-seated personal dread. He explained, "I dashed to the window. My heart skipped a beat. There he lay, still as stone, an unnerving silence enveloping everything. At that moment, my mind raced to the worst-case scenario. A bit of relief washed over the scene when Flintoff regained consciousness. That initial heart-stopping fright gradually shifted to the undeniable truth of his injuries. Severe damage to his face and ribs that couldn't withstand the impact. And just like that, Top Gear came to an unexpected halt as the reality of what had happened sank in. What happened at Dunsfold didn't just hit pause on a beloved TV show, it pierced through the glossy screen of entertainment, calling for an urgent look at accountability and forethought. Top Gear's intense trial is a striking testament to the hidden perils behind even the most exciting displays, where a single oversight can swiftly overshadow all the thrill. Now, why on earth the Morgan Super 3? This wasn't your average run-of-the-mill car. It was a celebrated challenge, with an irreplaceable shape and eccentricities that could puzzle even the most experienced drivers. Its three wheels meant playing by a whole different set of rules, something only Harris and a select group of experts truly grasped on that somber day. Now let's take a closer look at the Morgan Super 3. The Morgan Super 3 is a sleek three-wheeled wonder that joins old-school charm with cutting-edge tech. But don't let its cool exterior fool you. This ride comes with its own set of challenges. Its unique build and tricky handling aren't just for show, they can be downright hazardous, especially if you're not a pro behind the wheel. Under the hood of the Super 3 lies a heart that beats with the energy of a Ford-sourced 1.5-liter inline three-cylinder engine, cranking out 118 brake horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. Say goodbye to the old V-twin model, because this engine is all about delivering power that's as smooth as a well-mixed cocktail. Picture this, you're rocketing from 0 to 62 miles per hour in roughly 7 seconds and can hit a top speed of 130 miles per hour. Sure, those numbers might not drop jaws if you're comparing them to today's speed monsters, but factor in the Super 3's feather-light frame at just 635 kilograms, or about 1,400 pounds, and you'll experience a ride that's zippy and thrillingly responsive as you cruise down the road. Now, here's the kicker. Because of this motorcycle status, it often skates past some of the stricter safety checks that four-wheeled transport has to meet. What does this mean for you? Well, depending on where you are, you might not even have to wear a helmet or buckle up. Crazy, right? That lack of requirement can make you feel invincible, when in reality, the risks are very real. Driving this beauty isn't exactly a walk in the park. You'll need some serious skills and laser focus. See, the steering isn't powered, so when you're zooming at high speeds, it's a whole different ball game. Reviews point out that keeping control at over 50 miles per hour is no joke and could tire you out. The absence of power steering only ups the ante, making those swift maneuvers a bit tricky. And let's not forget the car's light rear and narrow build, which means one thing: push it too far and you're battling over steer like a pro wrestler trying to pin you down. Let's dive into the safety talk. The design of the Super 3 limits how safe it can be. One wheel at the back for grip doesn't exactly scream stability. Make a sharp turn or swerve and you might find yourself in a pickle. The real bummer is that it lacks the cool tech you'll find in modern vehicles, like fancy electronic stability control or top-notch braking systems. Plus, the open design means if you crash, there's less between you and the road or another car. Ouch. Chris Harris sounded the alarm bell about how tricky the Super 3 can be, especially after that scary incident. According to Harris, the Super 3 is a very challenging vehicle that only the most experienced drivers should tackle. He'd even told the producers to be careful about filming with such vehicles if they weren't going to up their safety game. Harris's concerns were not a solo act either. Crew members expressed concerns about lax safety protocols, describing an environment that favored a reckless, one-size-fits-all approach to exciting content over responsible production standards. Critics: the Flintoff crash was a glaring red flag, originating during a shoot that was all set to spotlight the car's power-packed performance. Despite Flintoff's jitters and missing out on essential safety gear like a crash helmet, the green signal for filming lit up without serious considerations or consulting safety-savvy folks like Harris. As for critics, they were quick to dissect the implications of the crash, directing their ire toward the show's producers and the BBC for promoting an environment that evidently places entertainment far above safety. Major publications jumped into the fray, showcasing a series of articles that highlighted Chris Harris's pre-incident warnings. His concerns, unfortunately, were brushed aside, prompting a prominent automotive journalist to assert, "This incident should serve as a wake-up call for Top Gear and similar shows. The risks taken in pursuit of ratings can no longer be ignored." Industry experts chimed in with their opinions as well. Many suggested that this alarming crash might pave the way for stricter regulations surrounding automotive shows. The collective call for an industry-wide review of safety protocols is growing louder, signaling a pivotal moment for the genre. An expert in film safety stressed the urgency. "This is a pivotal moment for automotive entertainment. If we don't learn from this tragedy, we risk repeating it." Now let's hit the rewind button and dive deep into the Top Gear origin story. How Top Gear revved up the automotive world. Top Gear hit the airwaves on April 22, 1977, starting its engines as a humble motoring magazine show aiming to lay down the road rules for drivers. It all kicked off in the BBC Midlands, spotlighting hosts Angela Rippon and Tom Coyne as they delved into an array of car-centric topics. Think driving safety tips and squeezing out that extra mile from your tank. Before anyone realized, Top Gear was revved up to gain traction, grabbing attention and racing to captivate the masses across the nation in just under a year. Fast forward to 22, the show shifts gears, veering onto the path of becoming the global sensation loved around the world today. The glory days with Clarkson, Hammond, and May, often hailed as Top Gear's golden era. Would you believe it? Their blend of on-screen magic sparked an electrifying allure that left viewers glued to their seats. Clarkson, with his sharp and sometimes divisive wit, fired up discussions on cars that left audiences both enthralled and sometimes split in opinions. Meanwhile, Hammond's boundless enthusiasm mixed seamlessly with May's unique charm, creating the perfect chemistry to back Clarkson's bold style. This dream team period took Top Gear to unimaginable heights, cruising straight into the records as one of the Earth's most watched factual shows. It went global, folks, speeding across 200 countries, inspiring countless international versions, and cementing itself as a cultural icon that left tire marks in TV history. Shift gears to transitioning hosts. In 2015, Clarkson's dramatic exit, thanks to a much-publicized scuffle with a producer, left Top Gear with the tricky task of maintaining its racing fan base. Cue the BBC's plan to breathe new life into the show with fresh faces like Chris Evans and our beloved Joey from Friends, Matt LeBlanc. Yet, these changes landed on wobbly wheels, delivering a mix of applause and criticism from fans worldwide. New hosts Chris Harris, Rory Reid, Andrew Flintoff, and Patty McGuinness, each one hitting the ground running, bringing their own flair while striving to rediscover some of that classic Top Gear charm. This evolving roster turned over a fresh page for the series, striving to paddle back up to its glory days while staring through new horizons and challenges on the journey of automotive entertainment. Shift toward danger. Over the years, this iconic show shifted gears. From its early days of relatively safe and straight-laced car entertainment to a full-throttle dive into danger and adrenaline-pumping escapades. What's the result of this evolution? Besides a breathless redefinition of the show's identity, it sparked major worries about whether they're leaving safety in the dust when it comes to the brave souls hosting the show and their crew. You could see the change coming like an oncoming sports car as Top Gear revved up in popularity, with the TV landscape packed with rival auto shows and a need to keep audiences on the edge of their seats. Producers started cranking the stakes up high with stunts that screamed extreme. Think speeding through public streets like it's no biggie, turning cars into experimental machines with wild mods, and yes, giving vehicles a very spectacular send-off to the scrapyard. One standout shift from safe to shudder was the birth of challenges that dared to tackle frightening scenarios or bring on reckless driving, all for a good laugh. The hosts were racing against trains or tackling bonkers challenges that had them maneuvering perilous landscapes. These scenes brought the hype and hilarity, no doubt, but also rang alarm bells over safety for everyone on set, from the hosts in front of the camera to the hard-working crew behind it. But why the big leap into jaw-dropping risks? With ratings king, Top Gear constantly needed to hold the spotlight, delivering insane stunts to satisfy the ever-growing thirst of its audience, hungry for the next sensation. Crowds used to shockingly sensational content put the pressure on to outdo what's already surprising, pushing Top Gear to up the ante with daring feats. However, this adrenaline rush came with a price, often sidelining safety measures and nurturing an environment where taking risks seemed just part of the game rather than a gamble with consequences. So, where do we draw the line on this race towards thrilling entertainment? It's a burning question worth pondering as we unpack the delight and danger that walk hand in hand in shows like Top Gear. Let's dive into what's been a whirlwind of controversies. Safety ignored. Months before the nail-biting incident that left Andrew Freddie Flintoff heavily injured, Chris Harris was already waving red flags at the BBC about Top Gear. He practically had a megaphone shouting about the dire need for beefed-up safety measures, cautioning that without them, they were sailing straight into risky waters that could lead to serious injuries or, heaven forbid, something even worse. As someone with the chops and experience on the driveway to back him up, Harris felt a deep responsibility to voice his worries, especially as the stunts got wilder and riskier. Harris wasn't just murmuring in the corridors. He hit the producers with a stark ultimatum 3 months prior. He spelled it out clearly. If you don't make changes, someone is going to die on this show. These weren't idle words. They were founded on the growing turbulence tied to the stunts and challenges that were jumping hurdles every season. Sure, Flintoff and his co-star Patty McGuinness could entertain like pros, but Harris knew they didn't have the seasoned driver's edge necessary to dance with such danger unscarred. He hammered home that stunt decisions should be in the hands of those with the right chops, but it was like whispering in a windstorm to the production staff. It simply went unheeded. Then came the crash. Flintoff found himself behind the wheel of a Morgan Super 3, a gnarly ride known for its tricky handling. On that fateful day, word is Flintoff was jittery about stepping up for the stunt given the dicey car and tricky track conditions. Despite the nod of acknowledgement from the production crew, they plowed ahead without bringing in the big guns, experienced drivers like Harris, to give an extra layer of caution to the proceedings. After the unfortunate crash that left Flintoff nursing some serious injuries, think facial trauma and cracked ribs, the BBC pulled the brakes on Top Gear with an indefinite pause. This call followed a no-holds-barred health and safety review that sent a clear message. Lessons had to be learned on the safety frontier. BBC Studios claimed they were playing by the book of best practices, but admitted there was room and a need to crank up the safety game for future seasons. This saga has set off a wild cascade of conversations about what really goes down behind the scenes at Top Gear. Is the thrill ride entertainment factor surpassing and overshadowing the critical safety aspects? Harris's earlier warnings now look like prophetic words, highlighting the grim potential fallout when safety takes a back seat in environments as high risk as these. Flintoff's tragic mishap might have slammed the brakes on a beloved show, but it's pushed the need for rock-solid safety measures in automotive entertainment into the fast lane, showing us that there's no room for carelessness when lives are at stake. And I can't wrap my head around it. How on earth could the BBC simply ignore Chris? It seems downright unbelievable, doesn't it? What's the reasoning behind this? Well, let me explain. Why, Top Gear isn't just that fun Sunday night watch. It's the cash engine that's kept rolling for the BBC, stamping its mark on the financial charts and ramping up its global brand swagger. Let's talk about revenue generation. Let's hit the gas. Every year, Top Gear was raking in a whopping $63.5 million for BBC worldwide. To put it into perspective, it's not just another paycheck. It sits right at the top of the earners list in the BBC's illustrious history. Even iconic shows like Doctor Who and Strictly Come Dancing couldn't rev up numbers that high, which really underscores how financially critical Top Gear was for the network. Now let's take a spin with global reach. Top Gear didn't just stick to home turf. It broadcast its revved up excitement to over 212 countries, beckoning around 350 million viewers to their screens globally. This mind-boggling reach didn't just bump up advertising dollars, it also shot BBC's international image through the roof, putting them head-to-head with commercial giants and those ever-popular streaming platforms. Now, shift your gears toward merchandising and spin-offs. The love for Top Gear was so widespread that it spun out heaps of merchandising opportunities. From a glossy magazine that fans lapped up to live events that sped tickets out the door, these weren't just side gigs. They poured in extra bucks to the BBC's coffer, fortifying the financial heft of the show. And that's not all. The magic mix of Top Gear wasn't just a hit, it became an export. Its format inspired countless international versions, handing the BBC a golden ticket to additional revenue via licensing deals. This clever global franchise maneuver let the BBC make bank on Top Gear's roaring success, cutting across borders way past the UK lanes. Top Gear was more than skidding cars and cheeky hosts. It was the ultimate financial powerhouse that turbocharged the BBC's bank accounts and reputation around the globe. Now, you are probably wondering if Top Gear is the only show revving up concerns about safety. Let me tell you, it's not riding solo on this track. The Grand Tour. Zooming with thrilling entertainment, the Grand Tour definitely knows how to keep viewers glued to their screens. But while it delivers on excitement levels, there's been a fair share of criticism targeting its safety practices and the larger message its jaw-dropping stunts convey. So, what are the critics saying? The Grand Tour has earned its badge as the go-to for high-octane stunts, putting its hosts in scenarios so wild, even Hollywood double takes. Remember when the trio dared to drive vintage cars, only to be pelted by arrows from horseback archers? Wild, right? James May himself fessed up that despite reassurances of safety, those arrows weren't supposed to penetrate. He was still on edge, pointing to a thin line between thrilling content and the got the willies kind of dangerous. Jeremy Clarkson spilled the tea on how the team occasionally throws caution to the wind, brushing off government safety notices just to snag electrifying shots. Take their jaunt to Mauritania as an example. Despite a glaring "do not go there" alert from the Foreign Office, they went for it, opting for spectacular footage over safety-first attitudes. It begs the question, what vibe are they giving off to viewers about risk-taking? But it doesn't stop there. Criticism from road safety advocates brings in another perspective. Road safety charities have taken aim at the Grand Tour for making daredevil driving seem weirdly glamorous. A stunt with fake car crashes drew the ire of critics, who slammed it as crass and insensitive, arguing it downplays the grave repercussions of reckless driving. Gary Ray from the road safety charity Brake noted shows like this need a wake-up call, reminding everyone that glorified car culture can lose touch with the modern push for safer roads. Can we talk about viewer anxiety and real risks? Tune into an episode of the Grand Tour, and it's not just the presenters gripping their steering wheels tight. Fans often find themselves balancing on a knife edge, fretting over the presenters' antics, particularly on dicey roads. Picture them navigating hair-raising, narrow mountain roads or cruising in the dead of night with lighting that leaves something to be desired. It's nerve-wracking. Sure, there's a team supporting in the wings, but make no mistake, the challenges still carry hefty risks. The intoxicating cocktail of high speeds, gnarly terrains, and limited safety gears is a recipe that could spill over from screen to real roads if viewers were tempted to recreate the daredevil antics at home. The legacy of Top Gear. When you think of Top Gear, you probably picture those thunderous roars of powerful engines, cheeky, jovial hosts embarking on daring, sometimes outrageous escapades. Yet the legacy of this iconic show stretches far beyond the thrills and hearty laughs it offers. It casts a wide net that influences everything from its crew's dynamics to the global community of fans it has cultivated. However, these ripples aren't always beneficial. While millions eagerly tune in for entertainment, there's a significant, albeit less glamorous, path path of disruption and controversy it leaves in its wake. Let me explain. First up is the contentious issue of reckless driving. Who doesn't get a kick out of a high-speed chase or a bit of thrilling velocity? Nevertheless, Top Gear often celebrates this very concept, turning speed into something of a glorified art form, sparking heated debates across the world. The show thrives on adrenaline-pumping sequences and heart-stopping, death-defying stunts that inspire an awe-inspiring sense of daring and bravado. The allure is almost magnetic, yet therein lies the problem. Some enthusiasts can't help but emulate these perilous acts in real life, inadvertently contributing to a discernible surge in reckless driving instances in their own lives far from the TV screens. The consequences, they're as palpable as those frantic late-night emergency calls you'd rather not make. Stories abound of fans attempting to replicate Top Gear's legendary stunts on the open road, often ending in sobering realities that underline the danger. Critics are quick to caution against the glamorization of high-speed joyrides that could potentially mislead young, impressionable audiences into normalizing recklessness as part of everyday driving habits. And let's not forget about the controversial humor. The infamous quips and audacious remarks from its hosts, most notably Jeremy Clarkson, often ignite a blaze of public outrage. His razor-sharp, sometimes acerbic humor occasionally veers off course, crashing headfirst into controversy and offending scores of individuals. His infamous comments about truck drivers and the idea of murdering a prostitute, they're the kind of remarks that not only ignite backlash, but also prompt an overwhelming tide of public criticism. Layered atop this is the cultural insensitivity often associated with the show. Critics have zealously spotlighted instances where Top Gear drifts into culturally insensitive waters, peppered with derogatory jests directed at various nationalities during their globe-trotting escapades. These elements collectively sketch a narrative of a program seemingly adrift from the ever-evolving cultural norms and values of today's society, rendering it somewhat anachronistic in the rapidly shifting cultural tapestry of the modern world. Let's talk about the show's environmental footprint, a topic as green as it is contentious. The beloved, albeit environmentally ignorant, spectacle of obliterating vehicles, a show-stopping feature that once delighted audiences, is becoming increasingly scorned in today's eco-conscious society. The explosions and obliterations of cars, especially those cherished classic models, leave a decidedly bitter aftertaste nowadays, hinting at an alarming disregard for historical preservation and environmental mindfulness. Moreover, there's the unabashed promotion of gas-guzzling monsters. Top Gear revels in extending its glamorous embrace to these fuel-thirsty beasts, seemingly valuing sheer brute force and mind-numbing speed over sustainable, eco-friendly options. At a time when the globe races towards greener alternatives and electric mobility, this fixation appears nothing short of outdated, almost antithetical to the prevailing climate-focused ethos. Now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the future of Top Gear? Do you believe the show can strike a balance between thrilling content and responsible production? Let us know in the comments below.